Take Me There was the first video that I did with a helicopter after my helicopter crash. Because it was a #1 video on CMT, it was being requested at radio. I remember he turned to the AD and he goes, "He's looking at me. He's looking at me." What?
All right, y'all. It's going to be a fun night on the Try That podcast. We've got award-winning director. He's a producer, and he's the pride of Chowchilla, California.
The legend.
Whoa. Hey, we did research.
You're going way back.
Oh, yeah.
Where's what we do.
Chowchilla? Where is that?
Chowchilla is Central California, so it's in the San Joaquin Valley. So it's basically farm community. Although I will say this, it's interesting. We just had this conversation recently because of our movie Ride that we just made about a bull riding family. Chowchilla was really in the San Joaquin Valley. Chowchilla was really like a cowboy town. It was, farmers, of course, but we had what was called the Chowchilla Stampede, and that was our big rodeo. So growing up, I wanted to be a cowboy, and because I would watch them stampede all these cattle down our main street, which was a really kind of a big, wide main street lined in palm trees in Central California. And they would herd these cattle all the way through town and then over to the fairgrounds, and then that would basically kick off the rodeo for 4 or 5 days straight of legitimate rodeo. I mean, we had all some of the best ropers and riders in the world there. We had world championship team ropers and
people hear California. Oh, you're from California. They think LA. They think that kind of stuff, but they don't realize the most part of California is a lot of that rural, agricultural. We all got to know you as a video director.
Yep.
And so when did you move to Nashville?
Well, okay, so I lived in LA for 10, 11 years learning the business. And then late 90s started kind of, taking the, faith of, all right, this is what I want to do. Mm-hmm. I want to direct. If I had worked as a production assistant, a producer, an assistant director to some really, very talented directors, both in commercials and films. And, so I learned a lot. I didn't go to film school. That was my film school. Right. And, but I learned a lot, but I moved, I did a video for Kenny Rogers, and
which one?
I did, The Greatest.
Okay.
So about a little boy trying to hit a baseball.
Yeah.
Same guy that wrote The Gambler.
Yep.
Yeah. And, so anyway, they had a company in Los Angeles, Dreamcatcher Entertainment, and it was Kenny's TV division, for all of his movies and all the different things that he would do in that aspect of the entertainment business. So I dropped my reel off over there. My brother had a country band, so I had a country music video on there. My dad sold Ford trucks, so I had a Ford commercial on there.
Oh, that's amazing.
But it was like legit stuff. It was like national campaign kind of stuff. It wasn't like local car dealer stuff, and that got his attention. That got Kenny Rogers' attention, and it got a phone call literally at home. Got a phone call one day
when you were in California.
When I was in California,
okay.
and his assistant called and said, "I've got Mr. Rogers like to talk to you." And I thought it was my brother.
Mr. Rogers.
Yeah,
Mr. Rogers.
Is this gonna be like the neighborhood guy?
Yeah, not the sweater guy.
Which one? Which one? This is an important moment here.
The sweater one or
the
sneakers?
No, but I knew that there was an outside chance that maybe, because I had taken it to his company, and where I knew somebody that knew somebody there. So anyway, it was him. He gets on the phone. He's like, man, I love your work, and like you to take a listen to this song and give us a concept. And anyway, so yeah, we ended up making a video for him, and it came out on CMT, and in a few weeks it was a #1 video, and it was a really great moment. And there's a Chris Parr connection here. So it comes out, it's #1 video, and this was a song that radio would not play.
Why is that? Do you know?
It just wasn't a radio friendly song. It just wasn't. It wasn't radio. It wasn't like, I think at that time, late '90s, it was pretty poppy kind of country poppy stuff, and Shania Twain and all that stuff, and it just wasn't what they were used to playing at radio.
Yeah,
but because it was a #1 video on CMT, it was being requested at radio.
Boom, there you go.
So they started playing it because of the video. And, so it was really the first real direct connection and opportunity for a guy like Chris Parr, who at the time was the program director at CMT. He literally wrote me a letter, and I told him I have this letter, and I think he's forgotten that he wrote it, but I have it. And it was from him, and it just said, hey, this is a great example and legitimizes basically what we do with music videos, because this song is now being played at radio, and that's greatly due to the fact that this video has had so much success and that we've been playing it here. So it was huge. It was a huge opportunity, and actually the first gold cassette and DVD plaque that I ever got was from Kenny Rogers, and
amazing.
I thought that was the greatest thing in the world, So
it is. That's amazing.
I just came to town. I was like, hey, I'm raised my hand, and literally went to the yellow pages at the Lowe's Hotel, and I was like, let's see, production companies.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, as a country music fan, if you're watching a Aldean video or a Chesney video, Luke Bryan and countless more, I'm just going down the list.
Yeah.
But Shaun is the eyes and the concept and everything behind that, which, from us working with you, and working with other directors before you, and nothing against them, but I think you captured us the best.
Well, thank you.
I mean, I really do. I mean,
and I think, you kind of touched on it, is that I think Shaun gets it, and he gets the artist perspective. And I'm going to get to this too. It's like you tend to understand what they want to say. And like with Kenny, for instance, you've done, how many Kenny videos have you done, Chesney?
Oh, God.
Well, too many to count, right?
Over 40.
But, so to say you are a part of the branding would be an understatement.
Yeah.
So maybe say how you met Kenny and how that relationship got cultivated.
Well, I met, so what happened was I had met Kenny. I had started dating Shannon Brown, my wife, and we were at an award show or something together, and they were label mates. They were both on B&A at that time. Yeah. So, I did a treatment for him, and he's like, Kenny loves it, but he wants to talk to you. So he called me, and he just said, I love everything in here, but I want my band in it. He said, my band and the energy of my band is really important to me. And I have heard those same comments from Jason, of course, right? And we were talking about that earlier, but I think that, Jason and Kenny both understand the power that comes from the right chemistry of the people, the band, the energy that comes from that band. I mean, it just drives you, as an artist. Those guys are fueled by it, and they do not take it lightly. And so that was the only change, but it was for Young, and that was lightning in a bottle. Yeah. Absolute lightning in a bottle. When that song came out, and Kenny had kind of transformed himself from, physically, he had started working out, and he was really paying attention to, the that aspect of his career, and he's such a driven guy. It was just, and that song was just, man, it just worked really well. And that video, I remember getting phone calls from lots of artists. I want Young. I want to do a video with you, man. I love this video. I want Young. And I just didn't want to make the exact same thing that I had made. So I saw a lot of people copying us. And I think Kenny's like, dude, just when I find something that I like, I stick with it. My guys have been with me for a long time. He goes, let's just keep, pushing the envelope. He didn't want to just stay with Young either. That's the thing. He just wanted to evolve, constantly be evolving. So, but yeah, it's a long, I've been working with Kenny longer than anybody.
Yeah.
So
you got a couple Kenny with Shaun, you got a connection, right?
Man, I was looking it up.
Remember,
let's see.
Talking about the good songs, as Teller would say.
Only the good songs, Neil.
Earlier, I go, hey, man, I think you did like videos to 6 of my songs that were out, and Tully interrupted. He goes, no, we're talking about the good ones. The big ones.
I don't think I said that.
Did you just hear that? Did you
No,
hear
you
that?
did.
I don't think I said that.
You said that. I said that. Yes, you did.
So
That's right. I'll name it. Let's see. You did video on banjo, Rascal Flats.
yeah. I did a lot of stuff for Rascal Flats.
Bob that head, Rascal Flats.
Again, Tully's saying, good songs, Neil.
Yeah.
I didn't say it. You looked at me weird.
Hey, it's my segment. It's my segment.
get to my all-time favorite, though.
Then we had Changed. You did Changed.
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorite Rascal Flats cuts. Take Me There.
Yes.
Did that one, which we wrote with Kenny Chesney, me and Wendell Mobley.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yep. That was actually Kenny's idea. I'll tell you the story behind that. That's like, I was in bed one night. It was like 7:30, 7:45.
Hold on, you were in bed at
Pretty late.
Yeah, it was. I was tired. And I hear my phone. I tell a story at writers' rounds, and I hear my phone buzzing on the nightstand.
Yeah.
And it says blocked call. And there's only like 3 or 4 numbers in my phone that come up blocked. And I'm like, you got to answer it. So I answered it, and it was Kenny. He goes, hey, man, I got an idea for a song we need to write. And he told me the first line.
Yeah.
Of Take Me There. There's a place in your heart nobody's been. Take me. And I said, we'll see you in the morning. So I was writing with Wendell the next day. So me and Wendell and Kenny wrote that, and Flats wound up cutting it. And There Goes My Life.
Oh, yeah.
All-time.
Yeah.
There's a big story behind that one.
Well, get to it.
Oh, there is? Really?
Yeah. I've told it before, but I'll tell it again.
Yeah, let's hear it.
But
No, I've never heard this.
There is kind of a There Goes My Life and Take Me There. There's a little bit of a connection there. So Take Me There was the first video that I did with a helicopter after my helicopter crash for There Goes My Life.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yeah,
What?
yeah,
Please tell.
Yeah, There Goes My Life. We crashed in a helicopter crash. We were that last shot. By the way, that's Amber Heard in that video.
Is it really?
Yeah, Johnny Depp's ex.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was their first,
I totally forgot about that.
It's their first gig ever. First acting gig ever.
That was?
Yep.
Oh, my gosh.
Holy yeah. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's Amber Heard.
Wow.
No idea.
Yeah, she's just a kid. Just a kid.
So I forgot about the helicopter thing.
She wasn't there for this particular shot because we had a stunt driver. So driving the car, because we're basically coming in the helicopter, we're supposed to drop in right behind the car, and then 75 miles an hour, we're following the car, 2-lane road, headed off to the West Coast. You see the sun is setting in the distance, like this beautiful 2-lane shot, rolling hills outside of Texas, and beautiful. So when we had rehearsed it, because we went up and we did do it like a rehearsal kind of thing, but there was a section of power lines, and the pilot was supposed to go past the power lines and then drop in behind the car. So again, we had rehearsed it. Boom, boom, boom. Come down. Right? Land. We're getting ready to go. Now the sun is right where we want it to be. So we're ready to go. We just sat there and waited for the sun. We're ready. Sun's ready. Okay, here we go. Get in. I'm walking to the helicopter. This is not make-believe. This is all true. My wife and my producer are sitting there. And we're walking to the helicopter. And my wife says, there goes my life. There goes my everything.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, gosh.
Jeez. That's what she said. So I'm walking the helicopter, and I was just like, I just like wave her off. I'm like, don't worry, like that, you know? But she had a bad feeling the whole time. Like the 24 hours leading up to it, she just didn't feel good about it. She always says that now. But anyway, I had done so much helicopter work at that point. I mean, it was like nothing for me. So, and I always felt like, if I'm going to send my crew up, I'm going to go up, you know? So anyway, so we go up and, circling around, car lines up, takes off down the 2-lane road. We come in behind the car following, and then he drops in behind the car, and I'm looking, I've got the big monitor in. We didn't have flat screens back then. You know, it was a big tube monitor, you know.
Wait, 150
exactly. Things like big, right? You know, it's in my lap. I'm sitting there. I'm all buckled in. I got my headset on, my comms on. I'm looking at the thing, and I go, where's those power lines? Because usually I would see them as we're going over them.
Oh, man.
I go, I was saying that. Where's those power lines? And I look up, and they are right in front of us.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
And I yell, I go, cables, because the pilot doesn't see him. He's watching the monitor.
Hold on,
What?
He was watching the monitor in front of him. The DP, the cinematographer, is right next to him. And then he's like lining up in the monitor instead of watching his flight line, and just forgot.
But you did this.
Just forgot.
You did a practice run.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But he just forgot.
Yeah.
You know, he just forgot. And then, and so I yell, cables. And he looks up, and now I will say this. For the one thing he may have done wrong, I'm going to say that he may have done wrong.
He did wrong. Sorry.
He did a lot of things right, and he was a military pilot. So he put that stick down. He went down to try and go under him. And what happened is that they hit the rotors and ripped the rotors right off of the helicopter, which is, I find out later, is a blessing.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you hit and those rotors are just, they're flexing and spinning, and you want those things away from you. So at that point, so I just feel this giant jolt where it just like, and it pulls those rotors off of the helicopter. We're going 75 miles an hour, which is a blessing because we're moving forward, and we're really only about 20 feet off of the ground because we're coming in behind this car. So we're not that high, but we're just going like a bandit this direction, and no way to stay up in the air. So we hit the road behind him, and it literally was just like an explosion of fuel that was all in the lines and everything, just catching fire. And it just was, because our stunt driver, she was just like, I thought you were dead immediately because it looked like you guys blew up.
Oh, my God.
In my rearview mirror, you know? But so we hit the ground, the skids do their job. They snap up and absorb a lot of it. But now we're just like a rock just sliding. And it's probably 200 yards. And then we go off the road. That's when it got hairy, because when we go off the road, then it's catching. It's not sliding anymore. It's catching. It's flipping and turning and all this crap. And then and at that point, it was just like, and for me, I'm sitting there and I'm just waiting. Like, people are like, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? You know? And honestly, it was like everything just kind of slowed down, and I was just waiting. I was just waiting for that one last blow. Like, I just felt like there was something was going to just hit me or do me, and it was going to be lights out. and it just didn't happen. It just didn't come.
Wow.
But so finally comes to arrest, and then the pilot is first one out, and he's like, we have fire. You got to get out. You got to get out. So if you see that picture, you can see where the grass all burned and everything right there. And then, so he opened the door, which at that point felt like I was upside down, and climbed out. And this, with all the noises and everything that was going on, I still really didn't know if I was even going to make it out of there. So I climb out, I run across the street, and I'm literally hands over my head like that's going to do something. Run across there, I turn back around, and then it was just like this total out-of-body experience. Like I just felt like I was just looking back down at myself. It's like a shock thing, where I'm just like, whoa, what is going on? And then it was like I was definitely in a fog, because I remember like walking after I knew everybody was okay. I'm like, oh my God, and I started walking back, and that's when the stunt driver is like comes flying up, and she's bawling, and I was just like, go back and tell Shannon and my producer, tell everybody back at base camp that we're okay. I assumed that they heard it. They were over the rise, so they couldn't see it, but I assumed they had heard something. So she's like, okay. She takes off. And then I was walking back along the trail of all the wreckage, and I was picking up back then we shot on film, and we had a super 35 millimeter camera that was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the spool of film was just laid out along the road. And I just remember picking pieces up. I'm just wandering around picking pieces up like, dude, just trying to get grounded again. But then Shannon came flying up, and she was just in hysterics.
I told you so.
Yeah.
I told you so.
Nah, she was just so emotional. She was in hysterics. Are you okay? She just kept looking at me. Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And I was just like, yeah, I guess I am.
Holy cow.
But yeah, it was life-changing for sure.
Wow.
That'll do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was 2003.
But now you have a whole new story.
Oh my God, I never knew that.
So we went to the hospital. All three of us had to be taken to the hospital, and sitting there, and I called Kenny. Because Kenny wasn't there. We weren't shooting performance at this point. This again, we had come back to do this. I called Kenny and I said, hey, our helicopter crashed. He's like, what? I go, dude, I was just in a helicopter crash. But everything's okay. Like, we're okay. And he's like, did you get the shot?
Hey, so I actually was going to ask that, but I thought, I don't know if that's a good form or
say
not.
you're okay.
I
You said
started
you're
laughing.
okay.
I knew he was joking at that point, and he knew I was okay. And but I started laughing. I was just like, no, we did not get the shot. I said we may have got the shot, but it is
it's
destroyed with the
over.
camera
That's
and the
fantastic.
film and
It's a action movie.
all that stuff.
Did you get
Wow.
the shot?
So anyway, yeah,
That sounds like something he would say right after that.
Yeah,
I don't know where you go from there.
I don't
So-
know. That's why I was going to
I
try
think
to take it
the
light.
toughest part was getting on a plane flying home the next day. I was like, I was in a daze. But I would say for probably, about 3 weeks, I just kind of floated. I was in a fog again.
Yeah.
Just kind of, and then it was suddenly, I remember one day I was just like, dude, you survived. Let's go.
Yeah.
Celebrate that. Move on. Let's go.
Amen.
Right?
Keep doing it.
Keep doing
Get
it.
back up
Keep
there.
doing your thing, and we're moving forward. So
It wasn't your time. When you mentioned your wife Shannon Brown, who's an amazing singer, I met her. I think it was in '97, and I think she was on Arista Records.
That's
and I remember they did a showcase, and it was Cherie Austin, Clint Daniels,
Oh, yeah.
and Brad
Yeah.
Paisley, and they were trying to put everybody out and everything, and these guys know because I went to school with Brad Paisley. We got to be buddies and everything, and so I was curious. And just try to look up, because I know you've worked with almost everybody. Have you done work with Brad Paisley, and have you had
Actually,
a couple of those?
I have met Brad, and over the years, I know Brad. He knows who I am, but we've never worked together. Brad.
So you dislike him then?
Yeah, I don't care for him much.
I understand. Go on.
I know him. I don't care for him much.
Okay.
No.
This is Kalo's segment.
No, but
No, go on.
no, but
It's just us.
Please continue.
It's just us.
It's just us.
Go on.
Okay. No, Brad, similarly to how I work with, certain artists just want to work with me, and he had that with Peter Zavadil. They did a lot of work together.
Yeah.
Back in the day. So, that was kind of I didn't really, but I knew Brad and Brad and his dad and everybody were always very nice and accommodating and were great with Shannon.
Yeah.
Because like you said, they were label mates and they would go on radio tours and things.
Yeah, and they were
together.
friends going through all the same stuff and everything. And
100%.
like you say, artists, they just with writers and bandmates and everything else, and directors, you have friendships and relationships.
Yep.
And so you kind of, if something's working, you just kind of stick there.
That's right.
Yep,
I think so. And I don't know. It's common, but less common, I think, these days.
Yeah.
But the labels don't always love it. I'll be honest. The labels haven't always loved it, but
What do they love?
I don't know. It's a good question.
I'll tell you what, they love taking credit
Yeah.
for everything.
We
Well,
love our labels.
let's get to the juicy part.
Are we gonna edit that part?
No.
Oh yeah, this may be a good time. We ask all of our guests to sign just a simple, and we'll fill it in later. If you don't mind, just
you'll fill in
yeah,
that.
just
it's very efficient.
we will edit it. Don't worry.
It's very efficient.
Don't worry.
Well, Sean, as you can tell by our
This
lighting,
looks like the contract
paper.
the helicopter pilot gave.
It's fine. It's just a simple release.
It's just us.
It's just us.
It's just us.
There you go.
Hey, Wade, here we go.
We got it. That was easier than we thought it was going to be.
That's amazing. Hey, well, let's jump into the Aldean video.
Oh no!
Should we?
Lord.
Yeah.
Which one?
We should.
We can't not ask you. Well, you're right.
Well, we were talking about earlier. I mean, it's like, you guys had this nice little song. You guys were kind of flying under the radar, wasn't doing much with it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
Okay, so
But that was right. Like for the first 8 weeks,
it was.
It was my understanding that you were supposed to do your research about the courthouse in Columbia.
yeah,
Everything was going just fine until you decided to shoot a video in downtown Columbia.
along with all the other videos
Right.
that I have shot
100%.
in downtown Columbia, by the way.
100%.
When we did it at night, at least our part of it.
Yeah.
And I remember pulling up, and it looked so good. You did. It looked like it should. It was really. I mean, you did a great job with that, and it was I remember when we were shooting that video in the middle of it, and like I said, you've always had a great eye for what we are, or what we think we are. But I remember in the middle of that, looking around, thinking this is going to look exactly like Aldean envisioned it, because his vision, and I know you know this, was for the song and the video to come out together. That was always the original thought, right? Didn't end up happening, but probably for the better, looking back on it. But it represented the song so well. I remember I looked at Kurt and I said, this feels like something,
So when he asked you to do the video, you guys obviously, or did you talk about, did he tell you what he was thinking, or did you tell him what you were thinking? How did the concept come up?
Well, I think it was clear that he wanted to use real world imagery. Right. Stuff that was out there, because I think at that time, especially, man, there was just so much going on in the world. Right. And especially the big cities, there was just a lot of things happening in the big cities, and I'm not, listen, bad things happen everywhere, right? Okay. I'm from Chowchilla. We are famous for a bus being abducted full of kids and buried alive, right? Bad things happen everywhere. So, but I think in the cities, it's harder to manage just because of the scale.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just because of the scale of it, right? And I do think that when it comes to small towns, there is a little more sense of community. You know, I lived in LA for a long time, and I'm not here to beat LA up or New York or any place like that, but I didn't really ever get to know my neighbors, you know? And I just think that in small towns, at least when I was a kid, and I know things have changed. I mean, you go back to Chowchilla, and it's a very different place than it once was. But I knew everybody in that town. And I think a lot of us grew up that way. And I think that, you know, I mean, that's why that song was in your heart and why it came out the way it came out. And I don't know, it was important it seemed important to Jason to stick to just what was really happening in the world and for us not to make something up, you know, and that was really important to me, even when, so to speak, the shit started hitting the fan. It was like, well, do we go back and, you know, recreate this or recreate that? And it's like, man, I don't know, because the concept was always to just not, like, who am I to say to recreate what I think is happening in the world when it's all right there?
Hey, thank you everybody for listening, and we're so thankful for our sponsor. Original Brands is starting a new era in American domestic premium beer.
Amen.
American made, American owned, Original Glory.
Original Glory not only tastes great, but it's under 90 calories and only 2 carbs. Easy drinker and perfect for the active lifestyle.
Bring it.
Original Glory. It's a veteran-founded company with a deep love of country. Original Glory.
Freedom is worth drinking too.
Right.
That's what I wanted to ask you. I wanted to ask you before you go any further, what you thought, what was going through your head when the first time you heard the song that he wanted you to make a video to.
I mean, I just saw all the images that I was being faced with when I'd go home and watch the news on any channel.
Yeah.
It was just everywhere, or on social media or whatever. I mean, it was that, right? I mean, I think that what was really interesting about the reaction to the video was that I always explain it, like my career and what I do, I always explain it in a way that, like, I see music, right? So I listen to a song and I immediately see stories and I see things, right? And I didn't see anything that was make-believe when I listened to that song. I just saw the state of the world, the state of our country, right? That's what I saw. And I can't help but be a little concerned, not a little concerned, a lot concerned about what other people were seeing when they listened to the song. Because I would hear people say, well, I'm listening to that lyric and I see this. And I'm like, oh my God.
Right.
Yeah.
Really?
How?
What? Like,
Yeah.
how did your mind interpret that? Right? Like, my
amazing.
mind didn't interpret that. Right? And yet, you know, I think we all have the ability to see music, right? Like I do. I just make a career of it. But it's concerning when you hear people on TV that have a platform in which a lot of people are watching them, and they're telling us what they see in their mind, and it is so heart-wrenching and tragic and not at all what I saw.
Yeah.
know?
Well, because of what you did, and Kurt and Tully can tell you this, Kayla wasn't at the house. They showed me the first rough cut, and I was downstairs in my house, and I had one knee up. I'll never forget it. I had one knee up on the arm of the couch, and it started playing, and I was stunned. And I got so emotional watching what you did. It was amazing what you did. to that song.
yeah,
I mean,
I don't know that I did it.
no.
He called me and said he cried.
Just to see it visually.
Yeah.
It was just, it was, I was just, I didn't know, I was speechless.
You 100% did it.
Yeah, you did.
And it speaks to the power of videos, and we've kind of lost this, right? You know, and it's a world of lyric videos now, which is probably another subject.
Yeah.
But it's the power of what a music video can do. And that song did it, and we've talked about this. The song was just living on radio. It was doing fine.
Mm-hmm.
And the video came out, and the power that had. Now, whether it was people hating on it or people saying, "Oh my gosh!"
No,
I
we
love
had to
this.
go into hiding because of him.
No, well, I mean, it's
Along with all
unfair.
my staff.
Well, but what was cool to kind of go back to your first video, I'm the Greatest, the Kenny Rogers one. You're talking about CMT. I went #1 there, and then radio played it.
Yeah.
CMT can make good things happen when they play things and when they don't play things. so when that helped a lot when they pulled it off. That helped a bunch too, because it fueled a lot of
It
that stuff. Because the
ignited.
people that
Yeah.
were behind the song and behind Aldean and the video
Well, it
and
started
everything
the
else,
press for sure.
they really started supporting even more.
I think, Shaun, I think without sorry to interrupt,
Go ahead.
I think without realizing, I think you're one of the heroes behind the scene in this whole thing, because
Yep.
I think song comes out like we talked about, and people are listening to it, and it's connecting, I think, in a good way, how people want to hear it. But when they put the video out and your vision for it, and you and Jason, what you did together, I think it was hard for people to accept that was reality.
Yeah.
That wasn't scripted footage.
That's a fact.
That was real footage. And I think it's hard for people to say that's happening in our country or wherever they live. I'm not sure if you made it out to a show last year on that tour. I can't remember if you came out. What that video did and the song together, and what you did really brought together a fan base. I mean, it was truly positive that whole summer. It was really fun to be out there, and you know, I think don't underestimate the power of what that did. I think, and it's something that we're all really proud of. I mean, we know what was meant by it. We know, you know, you can't control how people want to twist things. You know, they're going to find a way if they want.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know,
I think one thing, I'll share this with you guys, and I have, honestly, I had every news outlet in the country that probably some that I, you know, have wanted to be on, reaching out to me, asking for quotes, asking for interviews and stuff, and I just ignored all of them because I just didn't believe that they would actually listen to me and hear what I had to say without manipulating it in some way, shape, or form. So I just, you know, I'm just not going to say anything.
Well, that's kind of like with us too. I mean, we all got reached out to because of the song, and you know, writers of the song, obviously. And it's like, I can't even think of how many times we got asked by every network to talk about it. But like that's your point. But I will give you credit for this, and we were kind of joking about the location thing, and I know Jason appreciates this. When that was brought up and it became a big deal, oh my God, there was a lynching there and all that, you came out publicly and you got his back. You stepped out, and I know that he appreciates this a lot. He said, hey, he didn't have a hand in this.
Yeah.
It was, you know, we picked this, like you said, there's Hannah Montana videos there. We shot other music videos there. There's Christmas movies there. But I know that was a really stand-up thing he did, and I know that he appreciated that.
For sure.
Well, okay. I did say those things to his publicist. I didn't know that there was going to be a quote, and I've said this to Jason. I said I didn't realize there was going to be a quote. I had a conversation with your publicist, and then she did this, and then she said, "Can I put this out?" They did ask my permission. Yeah. Can we put this out? And I said, okay, fine, because I just wasn't going to say anything, but I did tell her. I said, this was not. This is 10 minutes from his house. This was a decision that we made geographically.
So I got to stop you. I got to stop you.
And quite frankly, is a beautiful location. And I'm so sorry that history exists. I'm so sorry that exists.
100%.
I'm so sorry that it exists anywhere. in this country or anywhere in the world. It shouldn't. And I'm sad that it does, but that had nothing to do, the thought that somebody would think that you would intentionally do something like that, and for people to say they knew exactly what had happened. No,
that's
I'm sorry,
disturbing to think that.
I did not. I didn't. Of course. I did not know that. And again, that town has been so accommodating to so many productions in Nashville, and it's a beautiful town.
Yeah.
And they probably can't help the history either.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Aldean was on
good
here.
People there.
Yeah. He was on here, and he was like, "Let me tell you, it was convenient. It's 10 minutes from my house."
And I think he was leaving at like 4 in the morning.
He
or
was.
something.
He was
like Bahamas or something. You were going somewhere.
Yeah. But one other thing I wanted to say too about that, when we're talking about the concept of the video, I always felt really strongly about leaving the whole thing on a very positive note. And we were unable to do that for unknown reasons. I can't tell you why or what. I have no idea the decision making that goes into whatever. But the concept was to leave this video to make a turn to some very positive stories that existed within the press, within media, right? So same place that you have some really hard things to see and watch, there are these really wonderful stories that are revealed that really had to do about communities coming together, neighbor helping neighbor, farmer on tough times, and everybody harvesting his crops while he's dealing with cancer or dealing with it. We had some wonderful stories in there, and the local news organizations that we got those from were unallowed to release the footage to us because of the corporate structure that they were under.
Yep.
Whatever they be, I don't know, but every local news organization is typically under the thumb of some other big corporation, right? Yeah. So some of them, or most of them, asked us to take it out.
Too positive.
Interesting.
Well, they didn't want. Listen, they didn't want to be associated.
Yeah.
They didn't want to be associated with it. But what they didn't understand is that they were just leaving us in. They weren't letting us finish this on a really positive note. That we should all we're at our best when we all come together and when we look out for one another. Yeah. Right? That's when we are at our best. That's when we are the United States of America, right? When we unite. That was unfortunate. Well, that was a bummer to me. That actually hurt me, because all of a sudden I'm like, man, you guys.
It's the world.
Like for me, I always want to leave people in the most positive place I can. With a story that we tell. So anyway, that's that.
There was some controversy or some big takes in it, but really it's a positive message, right? It's looking out for your neighbor. It's sense of community. So I know that's why that was important to get that part in there to you.
It's always important.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's like I always want people to be moved by the work that I do and moved positively, right? So I think that's...
Yeah, you're just not trying to move the needle no matter which way it goes. You want to affect.
And listen, there are videos, and there are videos that get made just to cause controversy. This wasn't one of them.
Yeah,
that was never the intention. We didn't set out to be like You know, that it just wasn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, there are those videos that people make that go, okay, well, I'm gonna, you know, we're gonna show, spousal abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna really push it. We're gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people will, and they'll do that, or we're gonna put somebody, an actor, in the back of a car, and then we're gonna, light it on fire, and the car's gonna blow up. It's like,
Or just
you know what I mean?
gratuitous
they're
sex or
trying
whatever.
to
Yeah.
be right, but first of all, we weren't going to create anything. We were only going to use what existed in the world, and that's why even the positive stories, we weren't going to go reproduce them.
Yeah.
It was discouraging that we couldn't find more positive stories.
What a great statement.
It was good. It was really hard.
And that's
Dude, that's moving.
That is moving, and I think that's we've done a lot of podcasts so far, and that was an incredible way to put that. Like, that sums up everything that we're talking about in this. That is disappointing.
It's disappointing because there's so much out there it's just stuff that I wish, my kids didn't see, things like that. But it just seems to be readily available out there. And that, for whatever reason, wasn't hard to license. But boy, the positive stories sure were.
Wow, I'm
That's amazing.
that's hard to hear.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
truth.
It's,
Hey, so, before, or you got something, Kayla?
Well, I know.
Go
I
ahead.
know you have something great. I know that Neil wanted to get to. He had a question about, obviously how easy it is to get, a superstar like Jason Aldean to look right on camera and look good in film. He just shows up and kind of just to say, look great. Here we go. Neil was wondering, like, for Kurt and Tully, like, how long does it take you to make them look good? And I thought that was
we
an
have to wear
interesting
our
topic. And do you do special camera things?
It's filters, a lot of filters.
Okay.
Usually
They look good.
You usually just use the Insta filters, just the real cheap stuff.
All right.
The real cheap stuff, just the matte just flattens them all out. That's
God bless
that's
you.
what
We need
use,
them.
man.
100%.
Use that stuff.
I will say, Shaun takes it easy on us the older we get. When it comes time for the band shots, and those always happen after Jason's done.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Get the artist out.
Yeah, Jason does his and then band shots, and
There's two things that Aldean loves about Silva. Well, actually, way more. But we're talking about directing. He gets him right. He gets Jason. He knows how to film him, and he's quick. He knows what you want to get, and you get it. Like we've been on videos, dude, where it's 10-hour shots, like of the band. Like, what are you doing? Why are we here? Shaun, man, he knows what he wants. He gets it. We're done.
Yeah, I remember after one video we had shot. Oh my God, it was through the night, started in the evening.
Bro.
We had to drive to Texas the next day. We were there all night, and the sun's coming up, and Aldean comes up. He goes, "This is the last time you'll see this director."
Which we won't name the
we
song.
won't name the song or the name, but it was the last time.
But
we
if
saw
you
that
see the
director.
sun creeping up on a band shot, you'll know which one it is.
Yeah. No, Shaun,
I know who it is.
Yeah. Shaun knows how to get what we need. He's getting like one of three poses from each of us, and
we all have our power moves.
and you got a great team too. Those guys are total pros and great.
100%.
What was the Michael Jackson thing you were going to?
Oh, so we were talking off camera a little bit. We do need to know this story.
Yeah.
Well, you guys said don't look at Silva in the eyes. Don't make eye contact.
Oh yeah.
Well, Caleb made that mistake earlier. I said, Caleb,
I did.
don't look at Shaun in the eye.
Don't look-
This is not good for you.
Yeah, no, I got right away. I looked down. I looked away.
You'll get no filters on you
Joking,
this
by
podcast.
the way, joking. But I worked on a Michael Jackson video back in the day when I was in LA, and
Which one?
it was one with the it was actually the one with his when he married Elvis's
Oh, with Lisa.
with Lisa.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I remember that video.
where they were in the theater.
Yeah.
Oh, what was the theater? I think Palladium or something. in the theater. Anyway, right off Sunset, and no, I mean it like legit. Like don't look at him.
Really?
Yeah, don't look at him.
Was it like a weird phobia thing he had?
There was a guy that he was on set, and he was. I remember he turned to the AD and he goes, "He's looking at me. He's looking at me like that." And I was like,
"What?"
I was like, "Oh my God." I was like, "Wow, he really doesn't want people to look at him."
Wow.
I mean, and by the way, I love Michael Jackson. I mean,
oh my gosh!
I mean,
But that's an amazing story.
I love Michael Jackson. I was thrilled to death to be there. It was amazing. But
was it you that was?
I mean, as an artist, as talent,
you were looking at him,
guy.
and
no, it wasn't me.
Oh, okay.
But I just heard it. I heard him.
He's looking at me.
He's looking at me. I was just like,
did that dude get fired?
no, I just told him don't look at him.
I had that happen one time, and of all the cool people we've ever met in our life,
Mm-hmm.
it happened to me in like 2002 or something at the Wild Horse Saloon.
Oh, it's funny you said. I was going to bring this up.
Of all people, Brian Setzer.
Yeah.
And
Brian Setzer.
look, I appreciate Brian Setzer, but I could care less.
Yeah.
I mean, I was at that point.
Well, he's not watching this podcast.
No, and if he was, I still could care less. But we're at the Wild Horse, and I was with this band. We've been out in Texas for like 2 months.
Yeah.
You know, and crawled back into Nashville. And I haven't slept in days, and I'm standing in the hallway, and this guy comes over and goes, "Brian's coming through."
Mm-hmm.
Brian. Okay. Mr. Setzer, they told me. And he, came through, and everybody looked down, and wow.
Yeah. Actually, I remember that show. Hey, real quick, I actually just remembered this. Do you remember the first video that Shaun directed of us?
Oh, I do.
You do?
What?
I think.
Just
Is it-
you
which
two.
Is it the one I'm thinking of?
It was in 2004.
Yeah. I can't be your friend.
Rushlow. I don't even know if you remember
I
this.
do remember that.
And oddly enough, another Chris Parr connection, because that was a song that did get played on radio that Chris Parr wouldn't play.
Now,
The video.
y'all brought up Chris Parr's name twice now.
Oh, we love
tonight.
Chris Parr.
You got to tell everybody.
We do. Chris
listening
Parr
who Chris
is
Parr
manager
is.
he's manager for Jason Aldean
And
and
he's-
Clarence
he's-
Spalding, and he's been great friends to us, and
Yeah.
he's amazing.
Great.
But yeah, that was the band Rushlow.
Rushlow.
I can't be your friend.
That was our only.
Was that
Hit.
in the like it was?
It was in the Lyric Street building.
Lyric Street
Yeah,
video.
and that building-
or Lyric Street building,
The old
first
house.
level.
It's still there. That building's still there.
I know. Remember,
Obviously.
like that was like the modern building in Nashville.
Yeah.
Back in the
Yeah.
day. Now it's like nothing compared to what's in Nashville.
That's a great memory, though. That was a
Wow.
big deal for us.
It was a
Yeah.
huge deal for us.
Yeah. But yeah, sounds like the video didn't do great.
I think it did fine.
Well, the band didn't do great, actually.
Wasn't
It's
our
okay,
fault,
guys.
of course.
Yeah. Did you guys ever play with Shannon?
No,
No.
I don't think so.
I've
Did we?
I've written with Shannon. It was way back in the day, but
Shannon,
I
yeah.
have.
Yeah. Man, it's weird. It's like all of these female artists from back in the day coming out. I'm like, Shannon,
Yeah.
dust off the leather pants, man. Let's go.
It's time.
I mean,
Cornfields. Let's go.
cornfield. Let's go.
Oh my God.
I mean, we got the documentary Planting America.
Hey, real quick touch on
Yeah,
that
we gotta
because
touch on
this
that.
you were telling Tony and I about this, and I think this is going to be awesome. Just real quickly, tell people what this is about.
So it's a documentary that we're making called Planting America, and it's basically just giving farmers a voice. There's so much negative kind of perspective or negative kind of stories about farming and what farmers do, and the technology is advancing so rapidly. And I just we had an opportunity to go out, and again, it kind of close to my heart. Well, not kind of, like very close to my heart, because a lot of my friends are still in the San Joaquin Valley farming.
Mhm.
That's it's like the bread basket of or the fruit basket, bread basket of the country. So much of our produce comes from Central California. It's unbelievable. And in the movie, we talk a lot about that, the different regions and who grows what and why. And so we just literally took a chair around the country and let them sit in it and just let them kind of have a voice. Stories. And they were happy to do it, because one thing we realized is, and some of them say this, is that, we're not a real vocal group. We just kind of stick to our job and do our job, and we're busy. Yeah, and we're not out there really kind of campaigning for ourselves.
Yeah, they're not on Instagram. Yeah,
but the reality is that we need food, and they're out there, growing it for us. And I think it's really important to this country that we continue to be the top producers in the world, because we don't want to let go of that, because there's a lot of power in that, and we don't want that power going to the wrong people.
100%.
Well said.
You wanted to be a cowboy. I think that's incredibly interesting. And you did talk about your movie, which I think maybe we'll just jump right into it. The name of the movie is Ride.
It is.
And give us a little synopsis of it.
So basically, it's set in Stevensville, Texas, which is like cowboy towns, like where all the cowboys, live, because it was central to kind of the rodeo circuit in Texas. But I had just finished Deer Rodeo, the documentary for Cody Johnson. Mm-hmm. And kind of back to what I was saying about wanting to grow up and be a cowboy, it was interesting when I wrote the narration for that film, which is, essentially me writing words that then Cody comes in, and we work together on it, of course. But, he comes in and then he speaks, and then he uses his voice on it. He came back to me and he goes, how do you know how I feel about growing up wanting to be a cowboy? How do you know, how did you write this? How did you know me so well? We just met, right? And I'm like, you think you're the only person that's ever wanted to be a cowboy?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's no, it's I relate to your story. And if you look at the success that he's having, obviously there's a lot of people in the world that relate to his story.
Oh, 100%.
Right? As you can imagine, we have a lot of people come in our door and have projects, but that project caught the eye of Jake Allen and his brother Connor Allen, and they're from Texas, and they grew up in the film business. Their dad was in the film business, and they've been writing and directing movies since they were young. They're younger than me, but they saw Deer Rodeo, and then they reached out to my cinematographer and said, "Hey, we have this bull riding film. Love the look of Deer Rodeo. Would you be interested in being, taking a look at the script?" And he read the script, and then they were going to film in Oklahoma, and then they lost the incentive, the film incentive there. Wow. Again, independent film, right? So we don't have a big budget. So he said, "Hey, before we just call this film dead in the water, go talk to Shaun Silva. This is spot on for what he loves, and I think he could really get behind this, and you guys just need to meet." So Connor and Jake came to Nashville. I sat down with them, but these guys I loved. I mean, immediately I respected the fact that they were working in the industry. Jake mostly as an actor, a working actor, and then Connor as a working director, for, as contracted labor. I mean, not just on their own projects, but in the off time, they were developing scripts and developing stories and developing films and having success with this kind of $1 million to $4 million, $1 million to $5 million kind of independent film space. And I liked a couple of their movies that I watched, and I thought they looked great. They weren't cheesy at all. They were well done. So, and I love the script. So, Keith was right. My cinematographer is like, man, this is going to be great. Let's get behind this. And it was a great opportunity for me. I want to direct a film. I've never directed a scripted film. I've done lots of documentaries, sports docs, music docs. I mean, all kinds of documentaries, right, over the years. But I wanted to understand the independent film, scripted film space. And so for me, it was really kind of an opportunity to learn how they're doing it, how they're getting things done. Because, I scratch my head. I'm like, how did they get that movie done, And some of them I like, some of them I don't like. And I'm like, how did they get that movie done, right? How did they get the funding for that, So I just wanted to experience it and see it for myself. And we're learning a ton, but right now we're really learning because the film is just coming out, and we're going to see kind of how the business side of it actually plays out. Because I do think that we have a good film, and I think this was Jake's opportunity for his directorial debut. Yeah. As I said, he was mainly an actor, but he acts in it. So he was a writer, actor, and director. So, you got to have it's kind of grassroots, right? We have C. Thomas Howell, who is an amazing actor. He was Pony Boy in The Outsiders. I mean, amazing actor, right?
Absolutely.
Hasn't done much recently, but in this film, he's fantastic. We have Forrest Smith from Yellowstone, plays Lloyd in Yellowstone.
He's legit, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So that, to me, again, kind of legitimized the film. And the interesting thing about C. Thomas Howell is that when I was a young man growing up, or a little boy growing up in Chowchilla and going to the Stampede, guess who was roping there as a young cowboy?
No kidding, really? Him?
C. Thomas Howell. C. Thomas
I didn't
Howell
even know that he had that background.
100%. He's a legit cowboy.
Wow.
Legit. I mean, he's amazing. So when I was a kid, I remember going and people talking about, oh, that's a kid that's in that movie. That's a kid that's in this movie, And I remember watching and just being like, dude, oh my God, that's that guy, And I told him that story, and it was funny because, his dad was a stuntman. A lot of cowboys in California become stuntmen in Hollywood, and so that's how he kind of got into the film business. Was his dad. But yeah, they were cowboys, legit cowboys, rodeo cowboys.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting, man. I think we're all excited to go see it or, stream it and watch it. It's going to be exciting.
This was great. Great. Thank you, Shaun.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, go see the movie Ride. Make sure you watch it.
Yeah, rent it on Apple and Amazon Prime.
There you go.
And some exciting stuff, man. I'm really excited about, the things that are going on. Who would have thought that I'd still be making videos all these years later?
And you're good at what you do,
telling stories, man. Just love telling stories.
Thank you for bringing our
Doing
song
great.
to life.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
Shaun, appreciate you, my man.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you, boys.
Thank you, bro.
guys.
Hey, guys, thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow us on all the social platforms at Try That Podcast. And, of course, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe and leave a comment. We love interacting with you. Thanks.